What's going on, collectors? This is Uncanny Derek, and in this video, I just finished watching the first two episodes of X-Men 97. So here's my review. And of course, if you like what you see, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe down below. I'm usually going to be doing videos about comic books, but because I have a little affliction towards X-Men, I'm not going to do the whole series, but X-Men 97 literally just came out today. I finally got around to watching both episodes. I'm going to say 10 minutes ago, I just finished watching the second episode back to back, and I have a lot of thoughts. So here they are. So, for those who do not know me personally, I am a very tough critic. I have a. Most people find that I dislike a lot of things. And when I first saw the trailer for X Men '97, I was not impressed. Like the animation was okay. The voice acting was okay. I just didn't really feel like, oh wow, I wasn't as hyped as everybody else was when the trailer dropped. And unfortunately, that's just how I am with a lot of things in life. and so I went in with very low expectations for the show. Um, Watching the first two episodes here, I am just blown away with how great it was. It was so good. The two episodes were so great, and I have such a grin on my face because it's a big callback to fans who did watch the series, and for fans who may have an idea what's going on or upcoming next who've read the books. It is just riddled with so many little goodies in there, and I have so much to talk about it. I'm not going to blabber on too much, but I did make some notes about the first while watching about the first two episodes. There's a lot of references to other characters just in the first episode too. Like in the trailer, you saw the newspaper article showing like Dust and Nature Girl, and Mara was like on the poster there, and Callisto and Leech. The Morlocks show up in episode 2. I should just preface this all before I get even further that spoilers abound. So if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching. Um, also gold balls. Like they got a reference of gold balls in the first episode here. Very interesting. Um, so I'm not going to go over the entire plot of the series or what it is so far, but especially the first episode was a great reestablishment of the characters. If you haven't seen the series before, episode 1 does a pretty decent job with just getting you caught up with knowing who the powers are or what powers these mutants all have, and just a general idea about the series. I will say, if you have seen the cartoon show before, you are really going to appreciate what the show is giving you a lot more. I tried to look at it with new eyes, and I feel that I really wouldn't like. There's just some moments where tugging your heartstrings over the two episodes, and I feel that you really wouldn't appreciate it if you haven't seen the series beforehand. So you should. It's obviously a big ask, but you can go into this blind and still be okay with it, and still enjoy the little nuggets of Easter eggs that they place throughout the show. So it's good for that. I did really appreciate the end of episode 1 as well. They have that contrast of Jubilee talking to Roberto Sunspot, much like how Storm was talking to Jubilee about joining the X-Men. It was a very nice callback to the original series, and there's a lot of callbacks in that first episode. Even Cyclops saying "I surrender," nod, and then blasting away there with his visor or Octoblast. They did a lot of action in the first episode, and it really showed off the animation very well, and it really showed off how much the X-Men, I guess, have evolved over the past year since the series ended, because it was X-Men 97, took place in 96, the original series. And, you see Cyclops, he's using Optic Blast to shift around the floor, and also to land. He uses Optic Blast to break his fall. Rogue and Beast and just them flipping Sentinels around, and Master Mold it was a great action-packed episode. And even like little callbacks with Val Cooper running on a treadmill. That was always something that the President did in the X-Men or the original series. So it was just funny to see stuff like that. Really, really good. It was just really nice to see the team back together, the voice actors back together. The new voice actor for Cyclops was pretty close to the original. I can't remember the names, but did great. Like you really couldn't tell that there was much of a difference or that it was a different actor at all. Morph is in this a lot more, and he's great. He doesn't have a lot of lines, but they really use him well. He transforms into a lot of characters in this and the next episode as well, especially Archangel, my boy, in there. And of course, it's 90s, so it's blue skin, steel wings, Archangel. There's an awesome scene where we see in the trailer where you see Gambit charging Wolverine. At first, when I saw the trailer, I'm like, whatever. But then Wolverine uses Gambit to jump up into the sky. Morph transforms into the Blob. Wolverine jumps on his stomach, jumps up, and cuts off Master Mold. It's just really cool stuff, you know? You should see it. A few things that did stand out in the first episode that were a little iffy was Jean using Cerebro to probe Henry Gyrick's mind. There was obviously Mr. Sinister stuff going on, which I'll get to about the next episode shortly. And there was this whole doom and gloom flashback about Genosha and potentially that Genosha is going to explode. So it was interesting to see that, but there was just some ambiguity about how the X-Men would use their powers. Like, this is not really Charles Xavier's X-Men. The other strange thing was that the X-Men series ended with Xavier not really dying. He just went up into space for the Shi'ar to save him. But this entire series is like saying, no, Xavier's dead. Xavier's dead. Xavier's, like, he doesn't exist. So he's not coming back. So I feel like the way that the original series ended and the way that this show's picking up is they're kind of changing how it actually ended, which it doesn't really affect how the story is being done. It's still very great. Some other great little tidbits in there was when they were fighting the Sentinels, the Sentinels saying, oh, Omega level mutant noticed, and Storm coming in there. They really did explode on how their powers work, or expand on how their powers work. Storm is definitely a lot more powerful than what she was in the series. Rogue is just a lot more fast and action-packed. Beast as well. Bishop's just blasting away and absorbing and powering away. Like, everybody's doing a great job in this show, and the animation and the team that did create this first episode, very, very good. And you know, the even the outro, well, both the intro and the outro were redone in this newer animation style. So you may remember the outro, the video with the mouse clicking through and showing the bios of the character. They redid that as well. If there's anything I'm not a big fan of so far in these two episodes, it's the music. It's not as synth driven, I guess, like the old series was, and it shouldn't have to be, but nothing's really like standing out save for the Sentinel battle in the first episode. Everything else is just kind of sitting in the back. So it's been interesting so far. I do expect, like, things are progressing pretty quickly, so I do expect more action-packed scenes and probably some more interesting music to go along with that. But, you know, that's really a small nitpick to a show that I'm pleasantly surprised by. The second episode did start with previously on X-Men, but it was Magneto saying it. I'm surprised the series didn't start off with that and kind of doing a quick recap of what happened in the season beforehand, or the series beforehand. The intro also changed in the second episode, where Magneto got added into the roster. So it does beg you to watch the intros every time. And they also changed a little bit of animation in the second intro as well. So definitely should watch the intro every time. It's pretty good. Looking at my notes here. So another thing they mentioned was Magneto failed to do a mutant uprising after Xavier's death, and that was done last year. So we get last year in the show, so we kind of get a timeline of the difference between Xavier's death and where they are now in 97. And also we get this kind of off-screen thing, which it's strange that the series finale of the original series, Magneto was more or less good guy, so that off-screen here he started some uprising and it failed. That it's a strange take, but hey, whatever. Lots more cameos in this episode too. We get all the Morlocks back in there. We get Morph battling the Executioner. The Executioner's in the second episode here, and Morph fights him, turning into attacking him as Lady Deathstrike. He turns around to try and punch Lady Deathstrike, then he turns into the Colossus and takes the blow. Then he transforms into Psylocke and starts attacking him with the swords. Like, they do Morph very well. And the interesting thing about the season 2 or the second episode was that Executioner had this gun, and I could see it was Storm and Magneto, and I just felt like the story of life death was about to begin, and that this gunshot was gonna lose Storm's powers. And sure enough, Storm takes the shot, loses her powers, and I'm really excited to see what happens with Storm and if they do that life death storyline. I know that one of the episodes are called that. It'll be interesting if Ford shows up and Storm gets her powers back. But yeah, the second episode was a lot like a calamity of different issues. It was issue 200, issue 201 because Nathaniel Summers is born. It is issue 190. Well, Life Death is part 2 is 198. The Life Death thing, Storm losing her powers, that takes off. She didn't lose her powers in 198. Anyway, you know what I mean. And then, of course, the big reveal, and I had of the opinion that, Jean is pregnant with Cable, and in the comics that Jean is actually Madeline Pryor, the Goblin Queen. And I was thinking, if there was a episode of the X-Men where Jean could have been taken away and cloned, what episode would that have been? And there was an episode where they go to find Morph. That was Wolverine, Cyclops, and Jean, and Morph is doing like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and then the Nasty Boys take Jean away, and I remember Cyclops taking off his glasses, going, Jean! And anyway, I think that they may reference that, and that's going to be a Madeline Pryor swap. I say that all to say because the final scene of this episode, Nathan's born in it, Cable is born, and the door opens at the mansion, and Jean comes in saying, I'm looking for the X-Men. Meanwhile, Scott's holding his baby, and presumably Jean Grey, who now I feel is Madeline Pryor, is in the background. So we do get a Madeline Pryor by the second episode, which is just like, whoa, we got many more episodes still to go. That's crazy. So really, really cool storyline. I do find the characterization really evolved a lot more in the second episode too. Like we do get more of Rogue and I can't believe we're getting Rogue Nito here. Like the Rogue and Magneto love story going on. Like that's crazy that they're doing that. We're getting Storm obviously losing her powers, but then they really delve into the emotional aspect of that. And even the one scene where she walks into her bedroom and there's a thunderstorm outside and she gets scared by it. That was very powerful and very well animated too. We get Gambit obviously finding out about Magneto and Rogue and heartbreak there. I feel that there's so much more growth for a lot of the characters. Like we really haven't gotten Bishop and Morph, and we got a little bit of Jubilee in the first episode, but like there's the other characters that still need a lot of growth to be fully fleshed out. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Another little I'm kind of going all over the place here because, like, again, I just saw it, so I wanted to get this done as quickly as possible and to shoot it out there to hear what everybody else thinks. I find the season, both episodes, are a lot more serious than the original series. Like we do get Wolverine saying he's pissed at something, and also we get this very heavy-handed, like. X-Men has always been very progressive, especially in social issues, but it's very heavy-handed to the viewers, and so much so that I feel like it's actually much more. When you talk about social issues, there's obviously different levels you can talk to depending on the audience, and they really know that their audience are people who grew up in the 90s for the most part, and I feel like they are talking more to an adult audience because of that, and not just because of the language, and the violence is also a little bit heavier too, but it's really trying to throw it in your face a lot, but it's more direct, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. It's a good thing. I have no problem with the social issues that they bring up in the show. It's not woke or whatever you fools want to call it. Like it's X-Men. This is what X-Men is. So yeah, it was just really it's very heavy-handed in one way where it's not like the old show, so it comes off, I guess, heavy-handed in that regard, but it's done great. I can't fault it for what it's doing because it's a different audience, different time, and it works well within the series. And yeah, the only other like little Easter egg I could pick out in the second episode was Nathan's baby mobile. There was a Shi'ar ship floating on there too. Yeah, it was pretty neat. The whole thing was neat. I'm really excited to watch the next episode. Those two were great. I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised. So yeah, what were your thoughts of the show? I mean, I'm all in. This is great. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, and I yeah, X-Men is back, and this is great, and I hope it continues, because it was, what a great love letter to old fans, to new fans, and to the X-Men. So what did you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Try to make, if I didn't make a lot of sense, by all means, type something up and let me know, and we can probably have a little conversation about it. And yeah, I have still another video coming out on Monday, so stay tuned for that, and then we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.